so I'm gonna start the recording there then, and then you know the drill, same as last time. I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Yep.
And then just as a quick refresher for myself and for you, just looking back at the notes, main points last time were awareness is number one, then ability usage, ult usage, positioning, and then mechanics. All right. Just let me close out of that. All right. Yeah, just making sure that we're getting good reload habits, and then whenever we're not needing it, so yeah. So I'm already noticing, like you said, a lot of overhealing. Right, just making sure we're looking up a bit and paying attention to health bars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure our main tank gets wrecked here in a second.
All right, so yep, just making sure we're being aware of our surroundings here. I think we also shift before it's really necessary. So like when we shift, you can kind of look at our team's health bar. I think we talked last time we went over BAP, right? That was the character we went over.
Yep.
Yeah, so we talked about shift usage and making sure we're just using it to burst heal. So at the moment, actually, Reinhardt does need it. So that shift was really decent. But then Reinhardt gets booped out of the way. So here we have a couple different options. First off, we probably just want to keep walking left side so that we can, you know, see Reinhardt faster, as well as maybe even potentially, if we think that we need to, we could potentially lamp him. We also have the option to crouch and jump up. This would give us visibility over the wall, while also giving us visibility to like lamp the ground if we need to. Whereas if we're trying to lamp from here, this might not give us the best angle because this is lower than where you're at, right? So the lamp might just end up going past it. So the big thing is you just want to move towards Reinhardt, but notice how we kind of like let him walk to us rather than us moving towards him. We don't need to be too careful about dying there because all we have to do is use lamp and then we're perfect, or we alternatively, right, they're all looking at a Reinhardt, so they're probably not even gonna be looking at us to kill us. So we just move forwards there, make sure we're healing, we're getting around the corner to heal Reinhardt, while also probably lamping there would have been a good idea. Right? So now we're down 2 to start off, so this is looking pretty lost. Maybe getting a counterfrag here could win it, but yeah, it looks like we're just backing. Okay, good shift usage.
I don't know if that was a good MO or not.
Alright, so there we stayed in this a little bit too long, so we should have kept like kind of backing while we were shooting at the tracer. So here we kind of notice how we come in here, but then we get to this point and we kind of hesitate, like we walk and then we walk backwards and we walk and then we walk backwards, right? Where we go in and we walk back and then we go in a little bit and then we're kind of sitting in place and then we're sitting in place and then we're sitting in place, right? While we're doing this whole dual tracer, preferably we'd probably be walking back to get with our team. And then this is unfortunate that she kind of walks into us, but we kind of stayed in there a little bit too long, which just let them get more of our health down and then end up staggering ourselves. So we just want to make sure we're backing up there when we see that that was a lost fight.
I couldn't have been in front of the Orisa either. I probably should have been behind her.
Yep. Yeah, just wanted to make sure that we're reloading whenever we're not doing anything. Yeah, so just as you kind of notice a lot of overhealing, which like as you stated before is going to just if you haven't played too much, this is gonna be something that you just need to put time into to fixing the bad habits. So if we know that this is gonna be a continuous thing throughout the entire game, we can state right now this is probably gonna be a pretty big thing if that's continuing. Though I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because we already talked about that kind of in depth last time. Right,
Yeah.
so we don't have to go too much into that. Okay, lamp usage so far is looking like a pretty big one, as there's been, we've died without using lamp here. We let Reinhardt die without using lamp before. We want to make sure that we're actually using our lamp. And in this situation, when we get boop off the high ground, I'd probably be thinking about using lamp. So here we're checking behind us. All right. This is really important because we just want to try to stop from getting rolled off. But here we do get rolled off, and then as soon as we get slammed down, I'd be going, okay, I probably have to lamp here, right? Because we're out in the open, right? We're slammed up in the air. We're like 1 HP here, not 1 HP, but we're low HP at the moment, right? So we probably just want to toss a lamp immediately, but we kind of hesitate with it, and then now we die as a result. So we just want to make sure we're not holding on to our lamp. Yeah, and then by that point, nothing we could have really done after that point. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I think the game was kind of one-sided in their direction until kind of the midway point, because we
Uh-huh.
did end up winning it at the end, but there was a lot of, I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's probably going to look worse in the beginning
Then in the
than
middle.
near the end. Yeah.
Alright, so let's rewatch this real quick. So we have a Mercy up top here that needs help. We're out in the open, or no, not sorry, that's not what I meant to say, but we're kind of sitting out here. We see that Mercy's 1 HP. We throw Lamp down to kill Mercy, but she's too high up, so she doesn't get it. They're gonna come in with a mine. We get slammed. Making sure that maybe we're paying attention to where the ball is, because potentially here we can be leaping out of it. So something that just to keep in mind against a dive composition is that we should pretty much always have a shift charged up, right? So we should almost always, while we're just sitting in place, have a shift ready, because that means that if we get dove, we can just leap out of it, right? So if we leap out of it, then that like if we have two main options here. The best thing that we could be doing is leaping out to a high ground. So for example here, let's say the ball comes in and we see balls and we're paying attention and ball comes in and he's looking like he's about to slam us, we could leap, jump up to the high ground here, and then boom, we're kind of out of dangerous way, right? We've just avoided the dive by leaping out of it. Now, even if we don't have access to a high ground, just leaping straight up can confuse them, give us time to heal, give us time for our team to help us out and boop them away. So even if we don't have a high ground, that's still a good option to have a jump charged up. But here we just kind of get slammed, and then after that point, there's nothing we can do. So it's a preventative measure against the dive if we're charging up a jump and jumping out of the dive or jumping out of the
Yeah.
ults, right? Whereas here, since we don't do that, then we just get dove and then we die, right?
Yeah.
So that also means that preferably we would be positioning ourselves near, basically we don't want to start off on the high ground. We want to start off right below a high ground so that when we get dove, we can just leap up to the high ground, right? So for example,
Yeah.
here, let's say we're just holding over here, like we just kind of hold right down here. We'd right behind our tanks, wait for them to kind of charge it, like get it ready for a dive. We're watching. We look like they look like they're about to dive us. We have a jump charge up, and we just leap up to the high ground, right? And then like that means that now they're stuck inside of your team without a dive target, right? Because you've just confused them, and then that could potentially, just by you doing that, that can completely flip the fight around, because now they don't have a dive target, and your team gets to swing on them for free and whatnot.
That's a really that's a whole that whole concept I hadn't actually considered before.
Yep.
That's
All
really
right.
good. If I remember correctly, never mind. No, we do I know we get it down to like 30 seconds or something. So I
Uh
know
huh.
this is the part of the map where we start to kind of take it back.
All right. Okay, so we're up a pick right now. I like the damage that we're putting out there.
Didn't need that shift.
Yeah, I mean, so that one was okay. It wasn't, the worst, because we're just like, what that allows us to, like, we weren't looking around the health bars, and what that allows us to do is we know that we have a ton of teammates around us, right? So if we just click our shift real quick, that's healing anybody who's a little bit low, and then this allows us to keep shooting and keep doing damage output. So I wouldn't say that was too terrible, just because you'd already been winning the fight at that point, right? We're up 2 right now, so we just want to be able to keep shooting, and we don't know, like, we're not looking on the health bars. I guess actually everyone is full HP, but for all we know, like, half of them could be, like, low. But we just, so I guess actually it wasn't needed, but it would allow us to just keep
It
shooting.
wasn't gonna cost us anything in the
Yeah.
fight because we already won.
Yep. All right. So we have not used our ult yet, and we've had that for 2 fights? Question mark. So you might want to
Good point.
consider using it here. Let's see how much longer we hold on to it for, because we just want to make sure we're not holding on to ults, because of course they don't get value when we don't use them. And then we could have potentially had, like, twice as many by now.
Especially this one because when I am using it, you charge it so fast.
Yep, exactly, right? And even on any character, that's the same concept, right? When you use it, you start charging the next one up. That means you get more of them. It means that you actually get value out of it, right? So in general, just using more ults is usually gonna be better. The only case I would say just that it's fine to hold on to it is if like specifically your team is planning for you to like hold on to it, like because sometimes you need to be able to hold on to it. But if you're holding on to it for like more than I'd probably say in ranked, you probably don't want to hold on to it for long because you're not even going to be communicating it anyways. But in a team environment, if you're holding on to it for like over 2 fights, that's not very good.
That's too long.
It's too long, exactly. And then potentially, like we've lost those past 2 fights where we didn't use it. Or actually, wait, did we have it in the fight where we got rolled off the high ground? So, but that would have been 3 fights if so. But I don't know if we
I
did.
don't
No,
remember.
we didn't. So, yeah. In any case, that would have. So we had it for 2 fights. One of them we lost, right? So potentially, like we could have won that fight if we had used it, right? And then actually, I don't know where we're at now. We're like here somewhere.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
it's after this, all right?
Yeah, yeah, we go in. Yep.
All right. So now they're swapping up their comp. They swapped half of their comp, so they are coming in with a lot less holds. They're coming on Ryan Zarya.
I feel
Make
like I
sure.
should be on the high ground
Yeah,
behind the team right now.
now that they're off of a dive, we don't need to be worrying nearly as much about the dive. They have one echo, and that's really what we have to worry about. So positioning wise, let's see. Positioning wise, um, honestly, we could just stay with the team, especially if we know that we're looking for a lamp, because that would allow us to shoot through the ult as well, right? Whereas if we're on a high ground, we might not even be able to, shoot through our ultimate if we did pop it on the
Yeah.
ground. So that would kind of angle wise, you'd probably want to just sit with our team for that, as well as the fact that yeah, if we're going anywhere, I'd probably like go like top left here maybe. Because top right kind of opens up for more people to be able to shoot at us than top left does, right? It just is more of a wide angle, and then if our team looks like they're backing up, then we just drop and back up with them, right? That type of deal. So let's continue on here.
But,
All right,
you know,
because if you look at right where we're at right now, there's just a whole lot more people that can shoot at us, and then we almost die there.
yeah.
All right.
I lamped. Brian wasn't even in it.
Yeah, lamp, right? Make sure that we talked about this last time, but lamping corners, right, and cover. So, for example, lamping like right here would probably be a lot closer. Might even get Reinhardt in it, right? In if it
Yeah.
was closer, as well as just paying attention to places where we can put it. So far, none of our lamps have been around cover, so we just want to make sure that we are, using our
I
lamp
know
properly.
I think it's got one around cover this map, but I just
All
don't
right.
know what.
But of course, we're trying to get it for like most of them, right? Not just one. But we're that's a process, right? We have to work on that. Here as well, looks like maybe we're holding on. Yeah, we're not using our ult again.
That could have helped that fight a lot.
Yeah, exactly, right. We land a big fast shatter, we pop an ult on it, and then boom, we can follow up with it. But there we don't end up ulting. So now that is fight number 3 that we've had it, right? So just want to keep an eye on that, because if that's getting worse and worse by the minute, holding on to it for too long. All right. Coming out here, looking for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, still looks like we're.
I'm saving it for our attack, apparently.
Yeah. Right, so that's 3.5. I guess we'll count that as maybe number. They like backed off really fast there, so I guess we'll count that as I don't know, fight number 4. So just keeping in mind, we'll keep track of how many fights we hold on to it for, just to see the extent of the problem. But just I think we might have talked about this last time, might have not, but
We did.
just yeah,
We did. I know we did.
exactly, and make sure we're using it. Make sure we're using it early in fights, not so early that it doesn't get any value, but we definitely don't want to hold on to it until mid fight. So like basically there in that last fight, basically we if we know that we're trying to stall point, we'd come out using it, right? We'd use it pretty much as soon as the fight's starting there, right? As soon as our team peaks. Yep.
Right now would be a good time. There
Yep.
it is. Okay.
Good placement. Right now we're out of position. We're kind of a little far forwards there, so watch our positioning, as in a moment here we're about to push like really, really aggro. So we place a lamp. right? So we place the lamp. Possibly a little too far forwards. I think what last time was our problem with the lamp that we placed it too far backwards. Was that
Yeah.
yeah, so here a little bit too far forwards because notice how they're just gonna be able to run past it in a moment. So preferably this would be like the perfect positioning would be like right in front of Reinhardt here because like he's the the furthest person ahead on your team. So preferably be like right here, but because it's like kind of in between both of us, they're gonna be able to run past it and then therefore negate the ultimate. On top of that, notice our positioning in a moment here. How first off we're half. Then we're about to like leap forwards here where we walk kind of forwards and use cover. So there we just want to make sure we're using cover properly. Good good job at least using lamp right, though still remembering to use cover with it. Watch our positioning, so they were out in the open quite a bit. And then that, got us like 1 HP like twice. So you just want to make sure we're using cover properly. Okay, whenever we're hiding from behind Uno or bomb, make sure we're still looking to do stuff. Like for example here, and we're trying to peek for some heals, but other options we have are to, just damage some people, right? Like so, pay attention to the fact that like from here we can just see these guys and shoot people on cart. We can just walk backwards here a little bit and shoot the Zarya. So we just want to, we're kind of, I don't think aware of how much we could be doing at the moment, and but like we're just kind of like going peek shoot, right? And then we're not really doing as much as we could do if we just like backed up, gave ourselves some space here, and then went for it. So we just want to pay attention to that, make sure like addressing and in being aware of our environment, so we can make some better decisions here. Because we could just be you're kind of AFK in here for the most part, where we could be shooting at Echo, shooting at Ana, right, healing people up. Okay, a little bit delayed.
Late. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Again, out in the open, right? So that's like most of them are out in the open now. So, well, last time, okay, so just refresh myself again. So last time we were, and why don't we do a quick strengths and weaknesses? So last time we have main points as awareness, then ability usage, then ult usage, then positioning and mechanics. This time, it's looking a little bit different, at least so far. I'd probably say mechanics, yeah, still is at the lowest, though. Maybe, trying to think. Actually, you know what? Positioning, I'd actually put it the lowest because if we're including overhealing in the mechanics, that adds up a lot, right? So that and then reload habits as well. So general mechanics doing fine, but just mechanics in general, probably swap those two around. Put positioning at the bottom, mechanics in number 4. Then honestly. Awareness isn't doing that terrible so far. We're actually paying. It looks like we're doing a decent job of paying attention to our environment. Though I would say that the worst ones so far, from what we're looking at, our ultimate usage and our ability usage, right?
Yeah.
So I would probably. I'm trying to think of which one I put first. I mean, I guess we'd have to continue and see like if you do the thing with your ultimate again, but right now it's maybe looking like ultimate usage is the number 1, then comes ability usage, then comes probably awareness because then the awareness would feed into your overhealing, right? When we're not paying attention to health bars and the fact that we're doing that. So then would come awareness, then would come mechanics, then positioning as a last one, right? Still needing a little bit of work on the positioning, but definitely doing better than some of the other areas that we're working with.
Yeah. Okay, chase this. I got it.
Nice.
Okay.
Alright, so we're coming back on another ult. Let's just take a look at that, see if it is keeping up. Because if it doesn't keep up, then you either fix, like if you, because it could end up changing here. Because if you end up fixing like either lamp usage or ultimate usage, then potentially that would kind of shift around a little bit. Because then it kind of goes to more inconsistent than just flat out bad.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have an ult. Okay, we're holding on to it again, right? Do we? Alright, so we have a bunch of ults here. Yeah. Alright.
Yeah. Lamp late.
Yep.
At that point, there's like no point lamping because I
Yep,
killed it in 2 seconds.
exactly. No, yeah. After Reinhardt died, the lamp came late, so just like basically just make sure that we're putting a ton of attention because like healing shouldn't take a ton of attention, right? Like we want to make sure we're paying enough attention so that we're not just kind of heal botting, but um without literally heal botting, you kind of want to heal bot, right? Because healing isn't the thing that takes like a ton of brain power. It's something that kind of just is put on autopilot. Though of course your autopilot should preferably not be overhealing, right? But
Mhm.
lamp needs to take a whole lot of your attention, and same with the ultimate usage because they are really important parts of your kit. And if people are constantly dying just like right in front of us, it means that we need to pay attention to, what's their health bar at, how in danger are they, what's Reinhardt's shield at, right? Is he stunned, right? Which here I think he does get stunned, right? How many people are shooting at him? All these things add up to how in danger is he and how much do we need a lamp, right? So here he's getting pushed. They have a trance, right? So we're thinking, okay, I might need it in a second here, right? He's half HP. We probably should be healing him up, right? In a moment here he gets stunned, and then he just immediately gets melted, right? So we just need to pay attention to him, make sure just being ready with it. On top of that, notice our positioning, right? Out in the open, right? Even if we're behind a Reinhardt, we probably don't want to be out in the open. So preferably we'd be more so like over here, or if we wanted to, we could be on the high ground or on the right with Ana. We just don't want to be in the middle of the, here, right? That's not where we want to be
Yeah.
positioned. Um, and then besides that, yeah, Lamp just came out. After Reinhardt died, probably not going to do anything.
I think if I'm remembering back, I think we were trying to set up for like a window fire strike thing
Mm.
there, but he died and then the whole thing kind of fell apart.
Yep. So make sure if you are setting up for Window Fire Strike, that's coming earlier in the fight because there it looks like we had used it halfway through the fight, which allows time for you to die or Reinhardt to die or you to just lose the fight before you get a chance, right?
And I solo alt.
Which is a better decision than holding on to it when dying, right? But
Yeah.
still preferably could have used it earlier in the fight beforehand, which would have gotten you, more value because potentially you don't end up losing at that point. So it looks like maybe we're
Yeah.
going to stagger here and then you stagger down to like 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah. I remember I came out on Lucio and then I had enough time to switch back. I ended up going back to Baptiste.
All right.
I'm not on this for very long. I was just a stall or get to the
Yeah.
point as quickly as I can move.
All right, well, let's skip forward, son. So they actually back up. So we go back and swap.
No dying on my watch.
So we don't have ults. They're coming up top right.
We got this.
Want to watch our health bar because here we're walking into the fight at a little bit low health because we got poked out. So we could be using shift. We could be requesting healing. All right, but we just want to do something so we're not starting off low HP. All right. So they're just, positioning would have potentially helped us to,
Yeah.
maybe not need lamp there, right? For example, like, the lamp's only necessary there if we're not in a position to dodge out from the high noon, right? So just
Yeah.
positioning near cover would have prevented us from needing the lamp, though of course good reaction times with the lamp to make up for our mistake, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
so
we got
then,
it to 0. Okay, never mind.
oh, so let's see, why did we die there? So we, looks like maybe we're out in the open. So maybe positioning is looking, now we've seen more examples of it. So here I think we get a little bit too over aggro. So just keeping in mind that, while we still, this is still pretty much a one fight, right? We're 6v2. We also do end up pushing on our own, right? Where we're kind of, our whole team's going up like top right and we're going, main and we're out in the open and we're trying to like 1v2 essentially. So we just want to pay attention to our surroundings because if we're pushing and none of our teammates are, then that's going to be bad for us. So we end up getting shredded by the Ryan Zarya and then we die, right? Out in the open, going in kind of without our team and running into the tanks, right? So we just want to be careful though we do get at more aggro, we don't want to go and feed. Because then that puts our team at a big disadvantage, already being down us when we come out. Okay. Again, kind of walking on the open. So now that we've seen multiple instances of this, positioning is maybe looking like it's going up another notch and maybe taking back over mechanics. Because we've seen multiple instances so far where we're positioning out in the open because we don't get caught by this grab. Yeah, we don't get caught by this grab if we're not within this ring here, which is all out in the open, right? So that's a pretty big ring, man. In any case, yep, that we just want to make sure we're not in the open, and then that means we don't get grabbed, and then we can help the people in grab, and then stay alive. All right.
Yeah, I think this is when they. I don't know if we get another fight here. Maybe we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Skip. All right. So we are on this comp, running kind of a spammy comp with a Reinhardt, Lucio. We got a nice pick, good mechanics. A lot of overhealing. Just look for.
Those guys don't need heals.
Yep.
What am I doing? Wait,
Just-
I didn't even. Where did the ball come from? That was weird. He must have come from the top.
Yeah, you see him up on the high gun there, on top left in the moment. And he just kind of swings at you from the top there. Yeah, you can see him rolling around the top left. Booping around. Okay, she kind of got melted like insanely fast, so that's maybe not a situation like, unless you're a pro player, even a pro player might have, struggle with getting that lamp off, but okay, using shift to get her health back, right? A lot of healing here when maybe this is time that we could be just damaging.
Yeah, kind of tunnel vision on that. I mean,
Yeah,
we
and
got
then-
the kill, but
And we also kind of forgot about the McCree who's like 1 HP, right?
right behind us. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like he was in front of us and we're shooting at the ball and here we tunnel vision and we probably should have just been healing up McCree, right? Because then McCree can help kill ball, right, without you damaging. And then he rolled behind us and then we forgot about him. All right, so now McCree's 1 HP behind us.
Yeah. Usually, I'm pretty good about like alternating left and right click so that there's a constant.
Yep, of both.
I don't know. This game really stressed us out because this was like the second map after we'd gone down, so the team was kind of stressed. I could definitely see it, or I kind of shifted into some bad habits from it.
Yep.
They probably would have made more sense. I mean, it doesn't matter now. It probably would have made more sense to play the third map after we kind of got our momentum back. I mean, I don't know. I guess it could go either way. Because it's probably more important that I play when I am stressed than when we're rolling people. Like my performance, like consistency is more important when we're not doing well. I don't know what I'm trying to work here.
Are you trying to say like to go over like to do a VOD review? Like to go over a VOD review, it's better to go over a stressed game, or are you saying for practice purposes?
I guess for VOD review, like I'm thinking in hindsight, I'm wondering if we instead of going over this one, if I should have given you the third map instead, where I was playing more comfortably. But I don't know what's better to look at if I'm a game where I'm playing comfortably or one where I'm stressed, which is this.
Yeah, you usually preferably you want a game. It ultimately, it isn't gonna matter like insane amount. Like, but it's still usually gonna be best if you find a game where you're comfortable, but you still were bad, right? Where you still your team still performed about evenly with the enemy team, right? It's usually not good if you roll them or if they roll you, and it's usually slightly better if it's a lost game because victories can mask mistakes. But honestly, it's not going to matter too much, and this is a close enough game where I'd say it doesn't, it's looking fine so far. Okay, using a lamp if we need to. Here we're just not using lamp, right? And then we die as a result, right? So if we're dying when we have lamp available, that's just a misuse of lamp, right?
Yeah.
Let's also notice, where were we at? So here we're lagging behind our team. Oh wait, maybe. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, ball did us.
Yeah, so ball got on us, and then we're backing out over this way, and then Tracer's got us down low. So here we just probably want to plop down lamp, request healing, right? To tell your team, hey, I need healing, and then because we don't, we end up dying.
Yeah.
Someone's looking out for me.
Yeah, I think they stall it right here. Like we kind of we kind of got mentally boomed here for a bit until we ended up coming back. We stalled it. They stalled it here until like a minute and a half or something. I think I don't remember exactly, but
All right. Okay, so we probably want to be using lamp here, yeah, or not lamp, ultimate.
yeah.
Dying again with lamp, right? Making sure that we're using it, potentially also charging up a shift so that we get dove, and then we just plop up here to high ground, plop up here to high ground, right? Again, same thing as last time. You do the same thing over here where we're charging up a shift, right? They dive us, we jump up here to high ground, right? We jump up here to high ground, right? We just making sure we're kind of using that strategy to avoid the dive and not letting them just run all over us because we're a very easy dive target. But we also want to make sure we're using lamp because that potentially, saves us, saves our team, right? Remember, it's it's ult abilities and ults that aren't used get 0 value, right? So like in that fight, lamp got 0 value when it could have gotten tons of positive value by keeping us and teammates alive, right?
Yep. She doesn't need healing. Why am I still doing that? I keep throwing it in there.
Yep.
Regen burst activated.
I'm already behind the team. I should be up probably a little bit.
Paying attention to where the bomb is because now that lamp didn't get any value because first off that bomb wasn't hitting anyone, right? That was all the way over here, right? And Reinhardt was shielding it, so lamp didn't do anything on top of the fact that we beated, so lamp overlapping with beat isn't gonna be really a good thing because unless they're like running some insane like burst through potential, like like grab dragon or something like that, and it's gonna go through beat. Lamp isn't gonna do anything if we have beat active. So there again, we're just not being aware of our environment, which causes us to misuse lamp, and then therefore lamp doesn't get enough of value when it could have gotten value. All right.
Yeah.
So a lot more misusing of lamp. Now it's not looking like we're holding on to our ult like for 4 or 5 fights anymore. So maybe I'd probably say lamp usage is going above our ult usage here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and of course by the point the fight's done. So let's get back forwards, and we're coming up on another ult here.
Got you good as new.
Though I would say the placement's looking a lot better than last time with our ultimate, right? Because I think last time, we talked. There's a lot of times where like we would just like kind of put it only for ourselves, right? And then that was like a big problem that we kept doing to the placement and the usage of it. Though I'd say with our ultimate usage, placement's looking a lot better. It's just a lot about the timing so far this game.
Yep.
So baby steps. We fixed one thing, but now there's another thing we gotta fix. All right, looking for another ult here.
We certainly lose this fight. I'm remembering.
Right, so not using ultimate again, right? Potentially using it too late there. If we wanted to, like that could be a situation like if we wanted to that we could have like maybe like rather than putting it in front of our team, right? Because like keeping in mind against that composition, they're on a dive comp, right? So they're going to be coming in on kind of your middle of your team or the back of your team. So preferably like your tanks might not even get too much value shooting through that thing, right? So we could just, if they dive in and they like plop a mines in the middle of your team, we could like plop like sit in the back line with like your McCree, for example, and just plop it in front of you two, throw a lamp down for yourselves, and then now you can heal your teammates who are in the mines and damage the people who need to get damaged. So this is a scenario where potentially going for like a more selfish lamp, or not, I keep saying lamp, more selfish ultimate window might be more appropriate, because you're able to, because like, they might not even be able to, the tank, the, Reinhardt and Diva might not be able to shoot at very much anyways, like if they're in the middle of your team, right? So it's just,
Yeah.
things to keep in mind. It depends on the situation here. We just want to make sure we're using it as a big thing. All right,
So you're
nice
saying
burst
more or
healing.
less set it up so that I can support the team with it instead of the whole team using it,
Yep,
I guess.
especially like if they're on a comp that's that mobile, they're a lot of times, like if you're just plopping in the front, like think of last time we just plopped it like right here, they all just ran away instantaneously, right?
Hmm.
They're able to run around the corner in half of a second. So it's possible that we could just instead wait until, like, we could sit far back here. So for example here, like if we let our teammates push forwards, and like us and McCree can maybe like sit high ground or something like that, they
Hmm.
push in and dive, we plop a window down, and then we just shoot them from the back. That's an option, right? But it depends on, like, if you see them, they're all on the open, then maybe we can just plop the lamp, or sorry, our window down to for our tanks anyways, right? It really depends on
Yeah.
the situation here, and kind of what it's looking like the enemy team's doing and where they're positioned.
Let them out.
Okay, so we do use lamp there, or I keep saying lamp instead of window. We use window there, all right? A lot of overhealing through that. Possibly a little too early right now. It's really tough with the timing, because you never know when it's too early, when it's not, because they're on a dive comp and they just easily back off. Though
Yeah.
in that situation, it looked like they just backed off a little bit too easily. So potentially, what we could be doing here is, like, maybe sitting in the back here, right? Because like, it's not gonna be too easy for them to dive you, especially if they don't know where you are. So like, we can maybe like sit back behind this, use this as cover, throw some heals into them, kind of use your team as bait, let them dive your team, then you can just plop a window down and then heal them all up and damage through it, right? That's just some
Yeah.
options. But here we just end up using it slightly too early, where they're just able to run away from it, right? And then now didn't do very much.
Yeah, they just avoid it.
Yep. Okay, so we got one pick out of it, so that's good. Better than zero. And want to be charging up a crouch here, just so we can jump to high ground. Okay, and then we get some picks. Cool, very close. Though good awareness of it, though. It's good that we were dodging on the bombs. All right. Not a ton of problems that fight. Now, surprise, the fights that we win are the ones that have the least problems.
Yeah, exactly. Still doing too much healing. People don't need it.
Yep. So it's just,
Alright.
being aware of our environment. That's something, you continue to practice that, you continue to try to fix. Though I would say, like, I'd say it's a pretty important thing to work on, though it's looking like the ultimate usage and ability usage probably might be just higher priority things to work on at the moment than overhealing is. Though of course overhealing is still a pretty big thing that you want to look to work on. And honestly, if you work on overhealing, that might free up more time to even look at the other things, right? And then a lot of the things that we're even talking about are stemming from awareness, right? So being aware of our health bar, or not our health bar, being aware of our ultimate charge, right, is reminding us to actually use the thing. Being aware of our, the fact that we have our ability means that we can use it. Paying attention to the situation can mean that we're using both of them. All right, so awareness is going to feed into a lot of these decisions, and actually using them. So there's just, aware. It's hard to say, because it in and itself is looking like ability usage is the most important thing, followed by ult usage, but awareness kind of feeds into them, so it's really tough to say. And then now we're just back to the exact same main points that we were last time, right? With the exact same order, if we end up putting awareness first here, though I might end up having to put awareness first, just because it's like kind of that's the chain of command of like how these are working. Is like we're messing up with our ultimate usage and our ability usage specifically because of awareness. So I honestly, I might put I think I'm just gonna put awareness like number 3, just because specifically I want you to focus on the more important parts of the awareness, if that makes sense. In this situation, lamp's probably not needed, right?
Yeah,
Nobody's
didn't need
low,
that.
in between fights.
Taking a
All right,
high
now we're coming up on an ult here. Probably shift, maybe not needed.
Also noticing I'm eating a lot of fire strikes right to my face this
Yeah,
game.
which is just being aware and then looking to duck out of them. That was a bad habit that I had. Was just like I ran into every single fire strike, so just looking to duck out of them. And then because we use lamp, now we don't have lamp for the Reinhardt, so that previous bad lamp means that now we don't have a lamp in this situation when we're down, when we could potentially save 2 different people.
Let them up.
Yeah, and we would have been going into that with it. I mean, he just EMP'd.
Yeah,
So if we'd had, yeah, okay, and then this is just kind of okay. That was rough. I know.
No.
Yeah, okay. And then I swapped him Mora. Yeah, because Perry was on Lucio. Okay.
epic stall fight. Very nice. Good fade outs. 2, 3 kills. Very good. 4 kills. All right, we kind of nuts there. Honestly, not really any problems there with our Mora gameplay.
Yeah.
All right.
Regen up.
So we didn't finish that with any time. That's why we both got the minute. Okay.
Yep.
Just remembering.
Okay. Very, very easy corner to use for lamp, right?
There's
But
easy cover over there.
exactly, right? Just like it's like we're literally right next to it. All right, we just place that near cover, as well as the fact that we kind of reacted a little bit late to the fact that Reinhardt was like low. We kept damaging even though he's critical, so we just want to make sure we're paying attention to Reinhardt. Okay, and then we have our ultimate because we just charged that thing in 30 seconds. Really, really fast ult. Probably look to use it here. We're focusing a little bit on the Tracer when probably we'd find a higher priority out of just popping our ultimate or paying attention to our front line. That's unfortunately got shattered.
Crew's already, well, he ended up dying, but yeah. If I had been focusing more on keeping my tank up, that fight probably would have went a little differently.
Honestly, it sounds fun.
Yeah, which honestly the big shatter kind of ruined that. But then also like even like let's say the shatter didn't happen, popping our ultimate probably would have been the highest priority thing we could have done there to win the fight. Okay, now we come out, good placement, good timing. That's probably one of the best ults we've had so far. All right, and then as a result, we get a pick here. Like they have to stay on cart, so almost like no matter what, this lamp's or this window's gonna get value. Right, maybe lamping a little bit too early when it's not needed, out in the open. Right, so lamp usage there didn't really do much. Melees have been on point here. I mean, that's not usually a category though.
Yeah. I did take a little bit of pride in my getting melee kills.
Yeah. All right. So many different rounds here. I think we've skipped through probably like 4 or 5 minutes here just alone going through like in between fights.
Yeah.
All right, so they're doing a close hold. All right, we're prepared for it. We use a shift. Reinhardt pushed really far forwards there. Potentially here probably be like a really good idea to just like we never really seem to be taking high grounds. Like I like to see us taking high grounds a lot more, especially since we just have a shift that we can get up there super easily with, right? Re-emphasizing, but we can just jump up here real quick. Re-emphasizing points gives us a ton of visibility, ton of survivability, cover usage, gives us better angles to hit lamps and healing from. Like here we can't do anything to to help Reinhardt out, but here this just makes our healing and lamp on Reinhardt much better. Now of course Reinhardt
Yeah.
here is feeding, but that that's not our job is to help him stay alive through his feeding, right?
Yeah.
Good lamp, though potentially could have placed it slightly behind cart. Honestly, behind cart might not even done anything, but slightly further back. Especially since Reinhardt just pushes past it like in half a second here, and then it's just gonna go down, right? Just lamp placement again, but I like the timing with it. Okay, so we somehow keep Reinhardt alive. They didn't kill him. Shift usage and good pocketing. So honestly, we kind of picked it up in this last little bit, where we're performing a little bit better with some stuff.
I was gonna say I'd like to give myself credit for taking high ground there, but I think I was really just following my other teammates that were going high ground.
Make sure we're reloading. Yep. Kind of spam healing, right? When it's on,
Yeah.
they're not even like really in it. Want to be lamping early or ulting early-ish. Yep. Keep in mind that you can shoot underneath this sign here, so you can just be spamming into them there. Throw a lamp down for your Reinhardt. Uh-oh, he ran around the corner. So if we know he's going to be around the corner, maybe just throwing it around the corner for him. Standing a little too close here, right? Making sure that we're not out in the open, and then I don't know. But the only other thing would just be ult tracking to know that he has shatter.
Yeah.
Oh snap! I didn't mean to skip all the way back there. Just trying to press the skip button. Okay.
I think I swapped to Mora again.
Yep. And then I think that's it.
We have some comps where we'll run Mora Lucio, and it's kind of just like a rush thing. So I don't know. I would actually say probably my strongest healer is probably Moira, which is usually why I pull it out at the end there. That's like just I need to get something done here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think usually I would be, I think usually in that situation, if I'm trying to get back quickly, I'd go Lucio, but our other healer was already on Lucio, so I was on Moira, I don't know.
Yeah, Mor's a good secondary, fast character to get back faster than Bap can. And then in that situation, you also didn't have ultimate. It's not like you needed to hold on to ultimate or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a good decision. All right. So why don't we hop into the review portion? Because it actually went pretty fast because we already knew a lot of what we were going over, right? A lot of what we were doing wrong. So re-emphasizing the points because a lot of the same points as last time, right? Just in that case, you just want to get time into practice with it, right? And then that way you actually start improving on the things, right? Take it one step at a time, right? We talked about that last time, right? It's just the process of how you look to apply the things, right? The application process.
I think so, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. Did we talk about autopiloting, or did we talk about focusing on the things we're working on?
Autopiloting, yes. I don't remember what else.
All right. So why don't we just like
notes.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick, quick refresher on that since we have time here. So just how to apply the things we're working on, right? The big thing is you want to make sure that you're focusing on it while you're playing, right? That means not autopiloting while we're playing. That means not just thinking about winning, because if we're just thinking about winning, then ultimately we're going to be, losing more games in the long run. Because if we're focusing on improvement instead, then we're going to be winning more games in the long run, right? Now, that means that while we're playing, we really, really want to focus on the particular area where we're trying to improve on. So, for example, if the number one thing we're working on at the moment is our lamp usage, we're going to be thinking, our brain's going to look something like this, where we're going lamp, 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 right? And we're constantly giving ourselves reminders and focusing on it, and we're putting a lot of attention and energy and focus into our lamps, right? And we're going to notice that when we start to do that, our lamps will probably look a little bit better because we're putting extra effort into them, right? And if you do that for a long enough period of time, now your lamps are going to start to form better habits, and therefore you don't need to focus on them as much, and you can move on to a different area, right? Now, you're not going to want to do that for every single thing all at the same time, right? You're not going to want to do lamps, ults, right, and awareness like all the exact same time, because that's going to get confusing and overwhelming. Instead, focus on kind of one category of things, or 1 to 3 smaller things, right? And that's the improvement process and the kind of application process of everything we talked about here, right?
Yep.
Just take it one step at a time, right? Really look to focus in on it, right? So now the review. Of course, lamp is a big one, right? Lamp usage just really struggled. Make sure that we're using it behind cover, not in the open. And I think we talked about this last time, but pre-think ahead in your head before fights are beginning or as fights are happening or when your team repositions is anywhere that your team's at, be thinking in your head, where's a good spot? So if our team's positioned here, we're going, okay, I can lamp here, I can lamp there if I need it, right? Paying attention to health bars, so like we're paying attention to if they're in danger or not. When we need to, then we lamp at the places where we just discussed, right? If our team's positioned here, we lamp on this corner. If they're over here, we lamp on this corner. If we're over here, we lamp on this corner, right? We're just thinking in our head, where are we going to lamp? And therefore that ups our reaction time, right? It means that we're coming up with a plan already before it happens. That way we can, just do it a lot faster and a lot more efficiently, right? On top of that, we just had a bunch of situations where we would like die with our lamp, so make sure we're not, holding on to it, right? On top of that, make sure that we're putting a lot of effort into just making sure we're using it on time, because sometimes we just let people die in front of us because we weren't paying attention, right? So those were the three main things: out of position, not using it, or just using it too late, right? Were kind of the big three ones in our lamp usage. Shift usage, just not super insanely important. I probably would not put that over a ton of other things, but still does need a little bit of work. Where sometimes we'd use it when people are full HP, right? So just kind of overhealing with it, right? Moving on, ultimate usage, right? Big thing was make sure we're not holding on to it. Make sure as well that we're using it, or we're using it kind of earlier in fights. We're not using it too early, right? Not so early that they can just run away from it, which happened once or twice. I think twice actually. So that was a big one as well. Is just make sure we're using it when the fight's actually begun, not the poke phase of the fight where we're just kind of going pew pew at each other, right? We want to use it when they're out in the open, right? If you're up against a dive, you can look to use it slightly selfishly. Shift usage, right? Make sure we're using the jump to high grounds a little bit more often. If you're up against a dive, just have it constantly charged. So do things like heal your team up, have it charged. We're watching around, waiting for us to get dove. We see them coming in, so we just jump up to a high ground real quick, right? That just dodges out the dive. This allows us to get away from them. So that's going to be like one of the biggest counters you have to a dive, as well as just make sure that we're using our lamp against when they dive us. All right. Back to ultimates. Yeah, those are the main things. Placement a little bit, just make sure we're not placing it too far forwards. And then besides that was, that was pretty much it with our lamp, or sorry, with our window. Not making sure we're not holding on to it. We did have a time where we held on to it for 4 fights in a row. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on, mechanics. Big part of mechanics is just making sure that we're not overhealing. Besides that, honestly, there's not much. We do really good with, with our healing and damaging. We don't really do poorly at shooting at things, right? The big thing is just making sure that we're paying attention to health bars so that we're not just constantly healing when they don't need it, right? That's just the only really thing in mechanics. Positioning, make sure we're not in the open. There were a couple times, especially on like kind of the end of third point, where we just like we're out in the open constantly, right? So we just want to make sure we're respecting cover usage, because remember, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. So bad positioning, good positioning, right? Where we're using things, as well as make sure we're taking high grounds as well, right? Because of all the advantages that we get from high grounds. And then besides that, not too much else. Moving on to finally awareness, I think is the last one here. So awareness is going to be a lot of different things. So first off, awareness of our health bar. Sometimes we're sitting a little bit low when we want to make sure we're using shift or requesting healing, right? Pay attention to this is all different parts of your HUD, right? Paying attention to our ultimate usage, so we're not holding on to it for 4 fights in a row. Paying attention to the fact that we have our abilities, right? So we're not holding on to our abilities in for fights and not dying with them, right? Pay attention to honestly, I think we did good with watching kill feed. I don't think we had any problems with kill feed watching. I don't even remember if that was something we talked about last time. Make sure we're paying attention to health bars. That was a big major one, because we would overheal with we just regular overheal. We would shift overheal, as well as the fact that the health bars is going to be a really good, important thing to pay attention to, so to know whether or not we need to use lamp or not, right? Pay attention to how much is somebody in danger, right? There's a lot of different things that feed into someone being in danger. How low is their health? Do they have shields? Do they have protection? Do they have a tank in front of them? Do they, like, how many enemies are looking at them? How many enemies are shooting at them, right? Are they getting ulted at? Are they already low? Are they out of position, right? There's a bunch of different things that feed into that, so just pay attention to the environment. Make sure we're actively thinking about our lamp and putting a lot of attention into it, so that we can lamp and not end up missing it, right? On top of that, pay attention to spots that would be good for lamp usage. Make sure that what other ones? Compositions. Team comp dictates play styles, so make sure we're paying attention to the comp that they're on. And then I guess that is it for the main points of awareness. Now moving on to the main points, right? Number 1. gonna be lamp usage, right? All the things we just talked about, right? Number 2 is going to be ultimate usage. Number 3 is going to be awareness. Awareness is a pretty big one, and it feeds into a lot of the others, though I would say that I would like to see, because awareness is a pretty broad category, right? It's just kind of like that. I would say that's the biggest category of things that you need to work on, though. Like, I would like to see you try to focus in on the lamp usage and the ultimate usage before you move on to just general awareness. And then by that point, if you're like, getting better at your lamp usage and getting better at your ultimate usage probably will improve a lot on your awareness, right? And then therefore you have less to work on with it, right? So it's kind of like just prioritizing, because though a lot of it, the problems are stemming from awareness, the big main kind of result is the lack in ultimate usage and ability usage, right? So ability usage, then ultimate usage, then awareness, then is gonna come the that one's tough. Honestly, might just tie positioning and mechanics just for the overhealing and being out of position, because those happen kind of evenly, and I don't really think that one deserves to go over the other just because they happen. Like, you're losing out on a ton of time by overhealing and a ton of awareness by overhealing, but then also at the same time, you end up dying quite a bit because you're out in the open, right, and you're out of position, right? So just want to make sure paying attention to both of those. All right. Do you have any questions on anything we talked about, man?
Quick thing I was going to mention earlier. It would have been more relevant earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Just to see if it's logical. I tend to use my like on my mouse. I like most modern mice. I have the 2 side buttons.
Yep.
For Baptiste, I have my crouch to the
Thumb
inside thumb button, and when I remember, I'll cause I initially when I had mapped it there, my thought was that I could kind of do like what you were saying, where you kind of leave it charged up, and it's easier for me to kind of hold that down. But I don't know if I was gonna see what your take is on that, and having that charged with my keeping that charged with my mouse hand as opposed to my keyboard hand.
Honestly, I don't see too much of a problem with it. I mean, like, it's to each their own, kind of with keybinds. Sometimes keybinds can be like an issue, but I don't think I have any issue with that. Like, if you're talking about like holding down button, I use my thumb mouse buttons for push to talks, because I have 6 siblings and they yell all the time. So
Yeah.
I just use push to talks all the time, and right now I'm holding down my button. I've been holding it down for an entire session, and I hold it down when I'm playing games all the time, so I have no problem with holding down a button. But if you feel like that's an issue for you, then of course go ahead and swap it. I feel like that's kind of a personal preference thing, and if you feel like you're having trouble remembering to hold it down or whatever, or you just if you feel like it's messing with your aim or something like that, then just swap it to a different button and then you're good, right?
Okay.
But I don't think that there's any inherent problems in there.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
That was really it. That was it.
All right, so let me just stop the recording.